Hi, welcome to TEC Bike Parts Project Interceptor. This is part 4 now. We've been quite busy, so I haven't had a lot of chance to get on with the bike. But surprisingly, I've been doing the odd weekend and a couple of hours at night time. And surprisingly, I've got quite a few little things done, so I thought I'd better do an update on the bike. As you can see, it's starting to look quite different from the end of the last video. We've been doing a lot of work on the exhaust. This is not a production exhaust, by the way. This is just something we've knocked up to try and get the fit on the bike. Actually, quite a hard bike to fit an exhaust to and get it working and looking nice. We're just in the final stages now of testing on the rolling road to get the performance and the sound just right. It will have a different silencer on the bike. I don't know if I've got one line about, but it'll have more of a cone end on here. Maybe he's looking at different heat shielding, but this is just to get a rough idea what the shape and what it's going to work like. So we're pretty much at a finalized shape, just differences on the silencers. While we're on the exhaust, we did do some runs with the old system on. We needed to do that before we took it off and gone on this system. So we did some dyno runs with the new silencers that we do on the stock front pipes, and I'll put that on the video. It'll also be on our web page on the exhaust, the silencers page, if you want to have a look and see what the power outputs are with those silencers on. They give quite a good improvement over the stock power. You can actually feel it, and they also sound a lot better as well. We've also been doing some dyno work with a high flow air filter system. We are now working in conjunction with DNA filters, who have developed this. It's quite interesting because when we first looked at the bike, we saw that the air filter unit on it was very restrictive, particularly the intake. I think I mentioned in part 2 that we're going to be doing something. And now this has all come to fruition, and we will have the DNA high performance filters with the high performance intake plate. That, very interestingly, gives a 98% increase in flow over the stock air filter with the stock intake snorkel on it. So that's a massive improvement. Again, we've got the flow bench figures to prove that, and we'll put those up on our web shop with the filters when they're available for sale. They should be in stock in about a week's time, so just watch the web shop for those. But they are a significant improvement over the stock paper filter. So as you can see, the exhaust is still a bit rough and ready because we've chopped and changed it a few times, and we still will be doing a bit more chopping and changing on it. We're probably about 90% there with it now, but it's one of these things. It's going to be a few months before it's ready. I'll give a good walk around the bike in a few moments. So I'm just going to talk about a few other things that we've done first. We've put a small headlight on the bike, which was surprisingly easy actually. With the headlight brackets we've got, all we did was put the headlight brackets on the inside instead of the outside, and actually fit the small LED headlight perfectly. And surprisingly, which you can't do on Triumphs, we managed to get all the wiring in the headlight. Even the resistors for the LED indicators went in there, so that was a nice bonus. We didn't have to mess on with the wiring at all. No chopping, anything, all total standard harness in there. So that was a nice, neat thing. Right, where to go next? We've done so many things, it's hard to know where to start. I think we'll start at the very front. As you'll see, we've got a new front tyre on the bike. We've fitted a pair of knobblies on it to give it the aggressive street tracker look like we said we're going to go for eventually. We've fitted a set of K60 tyres. They're both up one size on standard, which is safe for the rims. I would still experiment with the rear. I think we may have to go back down to the standard size because there isn't a lot of clearance between the swing arm and a 140 tyre like we've fitted. So some people may want to stick to a 130, but that's something we're experimental with at the moment. We've given the bike 20mm lift front and rear. We've done the front lift by dropping it through the forks and putting a bit extra preload on. We will be giving it an extra 30mm travel on the front forks, but that's a future video when we strip them down and do that. I haven't had a chance to strip the forks down yet, but it's something we will be able to do. So we'll get an extra 30mm of travel on the front end. As you can see, with the exhaust gone from the bottom, the bike looks quite a bit different now. We've cleaned up the whole look of it, and the engine actually looks much bigger. Like I say, we'll get the bike outside in a few moments. We can have a good walk around and you can see better what I'm talking about. One of the points that we are going to have to address, the footrests here are still in the standard position. Now I have been making plates up to try and moving these. I've got a feeling I may completely make a new footrest hanger, which we can do now that these exhausts are out the way, because an off-road scrambler really needs the pegs quite a bit further forward and lower down. So we're going to make a relocate bracket which will drop them and put them further forward on the stock pegs. But like I say, probably in a month or two's time we'll completely fabricate a new system for there. But we'll show different ways of doing it, and that's very much work in progress at the moment. At the rear, we've used our shocks that we had on before, but we've just adjusted them up a bit higher. So again, we've got a 20mm lift over stock on the back end, plus we've got about an extra inch lift with the tyre as well, so that's lifted the back end quite a bit. I've also made up a quick set of bobbins for the back, because we've took the centre stand off. I didn't think it looked quite right for styling with a centre stand. You can use the centre stand with it, but the arm sticks out a bit on the left hand side. Now, for looks, I didn't think it looked very nice, so I've just taken it off. Obviously with the lift, I've just put a shoe on the bottom of the side stand at the moment. I think we're going to have to cut and extend the side stand or completely make a new one, because the bike sits quite a bit higher now. Around the back end of the bike, again, you'll see that it looks quite a bit different now. I fitted a shorter seat, like I said we were planning to do. It's about a 2/3 length seat, and it actually suits the bike really well, I think, proportionally wise for a scrambler. Now originally what I'd planned to do at the back here, because I didn't want to do any frame chops or anything, and again we haven't done anything here, we were originally going to plan to put something like Triumph uses a small aluminium rack on here, which again, styling wise, it looks quite nice. But what I found from using the Street Scrambler was this rack was virtually useless for actually carrying anything on. You couldn't really strap anything on it other than probably a pair of waterproof trousers. So I've had a mess about with things we had lying around. Now this is a rack that we make for Suzuki's. Now I just made up some brackets so you can actually fix it on and bolt it on without any welding. And it actually makes a feature of the back mudguard now, which again it looks quite scrambler. And again, with the smaller light and the smaller indicators on, it makes the back end of the bike quite a feature now. And it's definitely got this period look of a scrambler. Plus, if you go off-road, you need somewhere to get hold of the bike to sort of pull it around. And you don't want to be holding onto plastic mudguards or anything, so you can actually get a hold of this and give it a good old pull to get it out of the mud or whatever. So that's a bonus point. I'll knock it off the paddock stand now and let you see how the bike sits on the ground for height. Like I say, we've got a temporary foot just tacked onto the side stand there, so that's about where it'll lie when we make a new side stand for it. But as you can see, the whole bike has got a completely different stance and look now. It's looking much more aggressive, much more like a street scrambler, and I'm actually quite surprised that Royal Enfield didn't make a bike like this from the onset, because I personally think this would have sold better than the Continental GT, but yeah, I'm not a marketing man, so I don't know. We've designed this exhaust so you can actually get this side panel on and off, so the seat still works in conjunction with the rears under this side panel, and you can get this on and off. We had to modify this plate underneath here so you can get it on and off, because there's a big pin comes out on the original panel, but it still works perfectly well. I just need to get this painted black here. It's still work in progress. Talking of mudguards, I have ordered some aluminium mudguards that I'm going to try on the bike, maybe with a brushed look, to just give it a bit more of an old look about the bike, an old school look, a bit like we've got the finish on here. We're going to have a sort of brushed, tarnished look We don't want it too shiny and new looking. We've just banged a couple of blanks on the footrest mount here. Again, that's something work in progress. We need to clean this area up here, and I've got a few ideas on what we can do there without chopping the frame. I mean, if I was doing this as a custom bike, I would chop these lugs off, but I understand people's apprehension for not wanting to chop frames, and everything we've done on this bike is reversible. If you want to go back to stock, it's just a matter of putting the bits you've taken off back on again. I haven't chopped any wiring, haven't chopped any frames or brackets or anything. Everything can be bolted back on the way it came off. I'm trying to think anything else we've done. No, I think we'll get it pulled outside, and we'll have a further talk, and you can have a better look all around the bike, and I'll give you a better idea what's going on with it. Hi, so you get a better view of what's going on here now. Our original brief was to make something along the lines of the Triumph 900 Scrambler in looks and performance wise. Yes, we're not going to get there with engine performance. There's quite a bit of gap there at the moment, but certainly, if anything, I think it certainly looks a bit more aggressive than the Triumph Scrambler. The suspension's certainly better than the Triumph Scrambler has got at the moment. What I do like is the way it's enhanced the engine, getting these chrome pipes away from it. The engine actually looks larger now and more aggressive. And I'd originally planned to blacken the engine, but I've got a feeling now I think I may just dull the casings or even leave them as they are, because I actually like the look of the engine in the bike. We're probably going to add a couple of protector bars just that run underneath this casing here, just to stop any rock bashing if we do go off-road with it, because these casings do look a little bit vulnerable in this area here. So we'll probably put something that goes around this sort of shape around here, just to protect that. Colour wise, I'm starting to think that I do like this red, but I'm starting to think it doesn't look a Scrambler colour. So we may paint the tank in a later series, but we're going to get all the mechanical and handling work sorted out on it first, and then we'll do things maybe like colour changes, or maybe decal changes on the side panels or something like that. But I think we'll just have a quick walk around the bike. Like I say, the main issues we need to address now are the foot pegs, get the exhaust finished right, and we'll do a bit more testing on it to make sure it's everything's working fine. And we'll keep you updated.